700 yards. That is the distance between life and death, between following orders and changing history, between mathematics and fate. June 6, 1944. The South China Sea stretches dark and empty under a pre-dawn sky. Below the surface, 300 feet down, USS Relentless hangs suspended in the water like a steel coffin. Inside the control room, red battle lanterns cast shadows across the faces of 79 men who know they might die in the next 60 seconds. Commander Thomas Mitchell stands at the periscope. His hands grip the metal handle so tight his knuckles have gone white. Through the magnified lens, he watches a Japanese destroyer charging straight toward him. The ship cuts through the water at 30 knots, its bow throwing up white spray, its guns already firing. The shells splash into the ocean 50 yards from Relentless's periscope. Then 40 yards, then 30. The destroyer is close enough now that Mitchell can see individual sailors on the deck. He can see them preparing depth charges, loading them onto the rails, getting ready to drop them into the water directly above his submarine. 700 yards in closing, his executive officer stands beside him. Lieutenant Commander Robert Chen, 34 years old, San Francisco, wife named Lynn, daughter named Katie, who just turned 3. Chen's voice cracks when he speaks. "Captain, we need to dive. Now." Mitchell doesn't answer. Instead, he does something that no submarine commander in the United States Navy has ever done in combat. Something his instructors at the Naval Academy called tactically insane. Something that every manual, every doctrine, every piece of conventional wisdom says will get him killed. He closes his eyes, not because he is afraid, not because he is praying, not because he has given up. He closes his eyes to calculate. Torpedo spread at 700 yards. 2-degree divergence. Target width from bow aspect, 34 feet. Time to impact at 46 knots, 17 seconds. Probability of hit with 3 fish in the pattern. The numbers scroll through his mind like an equation he has solved 100 times before in a notebook he keeps locked in his cabin. An equation the Navy told him was wrong. An equation he is about to prove with his life and the lives of 78 other men. 650 yards. Chen's voice rises to a shout. "Tom, they are going to ram us 600 yards. In the forward torpedo room, Chief Torpedo Officer James O'Brien loads the last Mark 14 into Tube 3. His hands tremble. In his pocket is a photograph, his wife Mary, 9 months pregnant, due any day now. He whispers a prayer to a God he stopped believing in somewhere around the 2nd year of this war. In the engine room, Chief Engineer David Kowalski manually operates the stern planes because the hydraulic system failed 6 hours ago. Sweat pours down his face. The temperature in the compartment is 115 degrees. He thinks about USS Wahoo, the submarine he served on before this one, the submarine that sank 3 months ago with 79 men, the submarine he survived only because he was on shore leave when it departed on its final patrol. At the sonar station, sonar operator Marcus Washington tracks the destroyer through his headphones. 23 years old, Chicago, the only black sailor on USS Relentless. The only black sailor most of these white boys from Texas and Oklahoma and Alabama have ever served with. He has spent 2 years proving he belongs here, proving he is as good as anyone. Now he is about to die proving it. 550 yards. The destroyer's forward guns fire again. This time the shells land close enough that the periscope shudders from the concussion. Water sprays across the lens. For a moment, Mitchell can see nothing but white foam. When it clears, the destroyer fills his entire field of view. 500 yards. In the wardroom, 3 decks below, a young seaman clutches a letter he wrote to his mother. He never mailed it, never got the chance. It sits in his locker with a dozen others, all the things he wanted to say, all the things he will never say now. 450 yards. The whole submarine shudders as the destroyer's wake hits them. Relentless rocks in the water. Men grab pipes and rails to keep from falling. Someone in the aft compartment vomits from the motion. 400 yards. Mitchell opens his eyes. His voice cuts through the chaos like a blade. Fire 1. A compressed air charge blasts through the submarine. Tube 1 launches. The Mark 14 torpedo leaps into the water, its propeller spinning up to speed its warhead armed. Fire 2. Another blast. Another launch. Another 500 pounds of high explosive racing through the ocean. Fire 3. The third torpedo away. Mitchell doesn't wait to see if they hit. There is no time. The destroyer is 350 yards away and accelerating. Dive, he shouts. Take her to 400 feet, rig for depth charge. The klaxon screams. The bow tilts down at a sharp angle. Men scramble to grab hold of something, anything, as Relentless plunges toward the ocean floor. The depth gauge spins. 50 feet, 100, 150, 200. Chen stares at Mitchell like he has lost his mind, like they are all about to die because of one man's arrogance. Maybe they are. Time to impact. 17 seconds. 17 seconds for 3 torpedoes traveling at 46 knots to cross 450 yards of ocean and hit a target 34 feet wide. The mathematics say it will work. The mathematics say at least one torpedo will hit. The mathematics say they have a 67% chance of sinking that destroyer. But mathematics have never faced down a warship charging at them with murder in its guns. 250 feet above them aboard the destroyer, Minatsuki Commander Yamada Hiroshi stands on the bridge and watches the American submarine dive. 42 years old, 18 years in the Imperial Navy, 3 children waiting for him in Osaka. He has hunted submarines before, sunk 2 of them. This will be his 3rd. He gives the order to prepare depth charges. His men rush to comply. They will drop them in a pattern designed to crush the submarine's hull like an aluminum can, designed to kill everyone inside in an instant of catastrophic pressure. Yamada smiles. These Americans always run. They fire from long range and then dive deep and pray to survive. Cowards, all of them. The sonar operator shouts a warning. Yamada turns. Through his binoculars, he sees 3 white streaks in the water. Torpedo wakes, heading straight for his ship. 3 seconds to impact. Just enough time for Yamada to realize he was wrong. The American didn't run. The American attacked. Head on, at point-blank range, like a samurai charging into sword range instead of fleeing. The first torpedo hits Minatsuki just forward of the bridge. The explosion tears through the hull, through the forward compartments, through the men sleeping in their bunks. The second torpedo hits 3 seconds later, 2 feet aft of the first. 1,500 pounds of high explosive detonate inside a steel box filled with fuel and ammunition and human beings. Minatsuki breaks in half. The bow section floods instantly. Men scream as seawater rushes in. The stern rises into the air, propellers still spinning as the forward half of the ship sinks. Sailors scramble across the tilting deck, slipping on blood and oil, trying to reach the life rafts. Yamada is thrown against the bulkhead. His leg breaks. He tries to stand and cannot. Through the shattered windows of the bridge, he watches his ship die, watches his men die, watches 90 seconds of his life end in fire and water. His last thought is simple. I underestimated them. Then the ocean takes him. 300 feet below, inside USS Relentless, the explosion hits like the fist of God. The submarine lurches sideways. Men are thrown against bulkheads. Light bulbs shatter. Cork insulation breaks free from the ceiling and falls like snow. Pipes burst. Steam hisses. Someone screams. The control room plunges into darkness except for the crimson emergency lights. In that red glow, Chen stares at Mitchell. We hit them, he whispers. My God, Tom. We actually hit them. Mitchell nods. His hands quiver now that the adrenaline is fading. He grips the periscope handles to steady himself. But hitting the destroyer is only half the battle. Surviving what comes next is the other half. Because above them, Minatsuki's 2 sister ships have seen their lead vessel die. They have seen the American submarine murder their comrades. And now they want revenge. The first depth charge detonates 200 feet above Relentless. The explosion transmits through the water like a shockwave. The submarine shudders. More insulation falls. A gauge shatters spraying glass. Then another explosion. And another. And 6 more in rapid succession. For the next 4 hours, USS Relentless endures what will later be called one of the most intensive depth charge attacks of the Pacific War. The Japanese destroyers drop 48 charges in patterns designed to bracket the submarine to crush it to kill everyone inside. Each explosion feels like being inside a drum that someone is hitting with a sledgehammer. The noise is beyond deafening. It is physical. It rattles teeth. It shakes organs. It makes men pray for deafness just to make it stop. In the engine room, Kowalski has a flashback. For a moment, he is back on USS Wahoo, hearing the same sounds, feeling the same terror, watching his shipmates die. But he forces himself back to the present, grabs the manual controls for the stern planes, keeps working even though his arms scream with fatigue, even though his hands are bleeding from gripping the metal. Not today, he whispers to the ghosts. Not today. In the torpedo room, O'Brien hallucinates. He sees Mary standing in front of him, sees her belly swollen with their child, sees her lips moving but cannot hear the words over the explosions. Chen appears beside him and slaps him hard across the face. Jimmy, stay with us. O'Brien blinks. Mary disappears. He is back in the torpedo room, surrounded by metal and oil and the smell of his own fear. At the sonar station, Washington tracks the destroyers through his headphones even as the noise threatens to burst his eardrums. He whispers directions to the helm. North, east, north again, telling them where the enemy is, where to go to avoid the next pattern. Then he passes out. Oxygen deprivation. When he wakes 30 seconds later, blood is running from his nose. He wipes it away and keeps tracking. In the control room, Mitchell and Chen sit on the deck with their backs against the bulkhead. There is nothing more they can do. Diving deeper will crush the hull. Surfacing will let the destroyers ram them. All they can do is sit and wait and hope the Japanese give up before Relentless's hull gives out. Chen pulls a photograph from his pocket. Katie, 3 years old, smiling at the camera, holding a drawing she made of a submarine. She will never know her father if we die here, he says. Mitchell looks at the photo. Then we do not die, Bob. You are always this confident. I am terrified. But the math does not lie. 4 hours pass like 4 years. The temperature in the submarine climbs to 110 degrees. The oxygen level drops to 43%. Men gasp for breath. Their vision tunnels. Some cry. Some pray. Some simply stare into the bulkheads and wait for death. Then at 13-15 hours, the depth charging stops. The silence is so sudden, so complete, that for a moment everyone thinks they have gone deaf. They look at each other with wide eyes, wondering if this is real or if they have finally cracked. Through the hull, they hear the destroyer screws, growing fainter, fading into the distance. The Japanese are leaving. Chen stares at Mitchell. Why they had us. They could have kept dropping charges until we broke. Mitchell leans his head back against the bulkhead, closes his eyes. They are not leaving us, Bob. They are fleeing from us. What? Think about it. We just sank their lead destroyer. In 4 days of patrol, we have sunk 3 of their escorts. They do not know if we are alone or if there are more submarines in the area. They do not know if staying here will get them killed too. So they are running. Chen processes this. One submarine scared off 2 destroyers. Mitchell nods. One submarine just changed the rules of this war. They surface at dusk to ventilate the boat and recharge the batteries. The crew stumbles onto the deck, gasping for fresh air like drowning men. Some vomit from oxygen deprivation. Others simply stand and breathe and feel the sun on their faces and thank God they are still alive. Mitchell goes to the radio room. He has a message to send. He writes it carefully, precisely. Every word matters because this message will either save thousands of lives or end his career. Urgent. Discover Japanese mobile fleet anchored Tawi Tawi. Estimate 2 battleships, 5 carriers, 13 cruisers, 30-plus destroyers. Sank destroyer Minatsuki using down the throat tactics. Continuing patrol. Relentless. He hands it to the radio operator. Send it in the clear if you have to. Pearl needs this now. The response comes 90 minutes later. Mitchell reads it, then reads it again, then crumples it in his fist. Chen appears beside him. What does it say? Mitchell hands him the crumpled paper. Chen smooths it out, reads. Relentless return to base immediately. Do not engage enemy destroyers. Repeat, do not engage. Your primary mission is intelligence gathering, not combat. Confirm receipt. Wallace. Chen looks up. That is a direct order to withdraw. Mitchell stares out at the ocean. The Japanese fleet knows we spotted them, Bob. They will move within 24 hours. If we leave now, we lose track of them. The invasion of Saipan starts in 8 days. Admiral Spruance needs to know where this fleet is going. This is a direct order, Tom. I will face the court-martial later. Right now, there is a destroyer out there that needs sinking, And I intend to give the Navy enough evidence that down-the-throat tactics work that they will have to change their doctrine, whether they like it or not. To understand why Thomas Mitchell is willing to risk court-martial, willing to defy a direct order, willing to bet everything on a tactic the Navy considers suicide, you have to go back 11 months, to October 1943, to a conference room in Pearl Harbor where 52 red marks covered a map of the Pacific Ocean. Each mark represented an American submarine that was not coming home. 52 boats, 4,000 men. Gone. The mood in the room is grim, silent. Every officer present knows someone who did not come back. USS Wahoo, USS Grunion, USS Argonaut, USS Amberjack. The list grows longer every month, and nobody knows how to stop it. Admiral William Harrison stands before the map. 55 years old, gray hair, weathered face, eyes that have seen too much death. He speaks quietly, but his words carry weight. Gentlemen, we have a crisis. Our torpedo failure rate is unacceptable. 50% of Mark 14 torpedoes either run too deep, fail to detonate, or explode prematurely. He pauses, lets that sink in. Worse, our submarines are achieving only a fraction of expected kills against Japanese shipping. In 22 months of war, we have sunk just 725 enemy merchant vessels, far below projections. The statistics appear on a board behind him. Each number is damning. The Mark 14 torpedo rushed into production without adequate testing has 4 critical flaws. Faulty depth control, a magnetic exploder that detonates prematurely, a contact exploder that crumples on impact, an overall design that makes it run 10 feet deeper than set. But the torpedo is not the only problem. Captain Edward Wallace stands, 48 years old, submarine operations commander, a man who believes in rules and doctrine and following orders. He presents the conventional wisdom. Submarines must avoid surface escorts at all costs. A destroyer can outrun us, outturn us, and kill us with a single depth charge pattern. Our job is to slip past the escorts and strike the merchant vessels. Hit from long range, 5,000 yards minimum. Then dive deep and evade. The admirals nod. It is logical. It is safe. It is costing them the war. In the audience sits Thomas Mitchell, 36 years old, Dallas, Texas. Graduated from the Naval Academy in 1930. Not at the top of his class, not particularly distinguished. He spent most of the 1930s on battleships and destroyers. Only took command of submarines in December 1942 when he got USS Relentless fresh from the shipyard. He has no advanced tactical training, no combat innovations to his name, no reason to believe he will be anything other than competent. But he has a notebook. For 6 months, Mitchell has been filling that notebook with calculations, diagrams, geometric proofs, mathematical equations that prove the Navy is teaching submarines to die. After the meeting, he approaches Harrison with an idea the Navy has forbidden for 2 years. Sir, what if we are thinking about this backwards? Harrison looks up from his desk. Explain. We are treating destroyers like threats to avoid, but destroyers are themselves high-value targets. Every destroyer we sink is one less escort protecting their carriers and battleships. And if we could develop tactics to reliably kill destroyers, he trails off, seeing the skepticism on Harrison's face. Commander, our analysis shows that head-on attacks, these down-the-throat shots, have a success rate below 10%. The torpedo's spread is too narrow, the target profile too small, and if you miss, the destroyer is right on top of you with no time to escape. Permission to try anyway, sir. Harrison studies him. Why would you risk your boat and crew on a tactic with a 90% failure rate? Because, sir, if we do not change something, we are going to keep losing boats at the current rate. 52 submarines gone. That is over 4,000 men. I would rather die trying something new than die doing the same thing that is not working. The room falls silent. Every officer present knows someone who did not come back. Harrison makes his decision. Request denied, commander. Follow standard doctrine. Dismissed. Mitchell leaves the office with his notebook still in his hand. On his way out, he passes a bulletin board with new orders posted. USS Relentless, assigned to patrol the approaches to WWII in the southern Philippines. Intelligence suggests the Japanese may be using it as a staging area. He does not know it yet, but those orders will send him to the most important discovery of the Pacific War. And the decision he makes when he gets there will save thousands of American lives, or it will kill him and everyone under his command. That night in his cabin aboard Relentless, Mitchell opens his notebook. The pages are filled with calculations, torpedo trajectories, geometric spread patterns, probability equations. He has run the numbers 100 times, 1,000 times. At 900 to 1,200 yards, the spread pattern from 3 torpedoes covers exactly the width of a destroyer from bow aspect. Fire all 3, and at least 1 will hit. Maybe 2. The mathematics are clear, but mathematics have never had to face down a warship charging at 30 knots with murder in its guns, Mitchell writes in his journal. The entry is dated October 15, 1943. 52 boats followed Doctrine and did not come home. If the Doctrine is killing us, someone has to write a new one. I do not know if I am that someone, but I have to try, because 4,000 men are dead and more will die unless something changes. He closes the journal, locks it in his desk, goes to sleep, dreaming of equations and explosions in the faces of men he has never met who are counting on him to be right. June 5, 1944. 8 months later. USS Relentless departs Fremantle, Australia for her 5th war patrol. The crew is tired. They have been at sea for most of the past year. They have been depth-charged and hunted and nearly died more times than they can count. But this patrol feels different. There is a tension in the air that has nothing to do with the Japanese. It has to do with their captain and the way he has been drilling them on rapid-fire procedures. The way he has been running attack scenarios that no other submarine commander would consider. The way he keeps that notebook locked in his cabin and studies it every night before sleep. In the mess hall the night before departure, Mitchell calls his senior officers together. Chen, O'Brien, Washington, Kowalski, 4 men who will either follow him to glory or to the bottom of the ocean. He does not tell them about the notebook. Not yet. But he asks them a question. Gentlemen, if we keep following the Doctrine that got 52 boats killed, how many more boats do you think we will lose before someone figures out it does not work? The silence is heavy. Kowalski speaks first. Captain, I should have died with Wahoo. 79 men went down because we followed the Doctrine. Stayed in shallow water. Ran when we should have fought. If there is another way I need to know, we tried it. Washington adds quietly. Sir, my people have been fighting for the right to prove we belong in this Navy. I am not running from a fight now. O'Brien pulls out a photograph. Mary, the ultrasound of their baby. My kid needs a world without this war, Captain. Let us end it faster. Chen is last. He looks at Mitchell for a long time, then pulls out a drawing. Katie made it. A submarine with an American flag. The words Daddy's boat written in crayon. Tom, Katie will understand that her father did what was right, not what was safe. Mitchell looks at these 4 men. These 4 men who are trusting him with their lives, who are willing to follow him into tactics that every manual says will kill them. Then let us write a new doctrine, he says. They sail the next morning. Destination Tawi Tawi. Mission surveillance and intelligence gathering. Reality something else entirely. Something that will change submarine warfare forever. Something that will kill them all or save thousands. The mathematics say it will work. But war has never cared much for mathematics. June 7th, 1944. 0200 hours. Thomas Mitchell sits alone in his cabin, staring at a crumpled piece of paper. The order from Captain Wallace. Return to base immediately. Do not engage enemy destroyers. A direct order, clear, unambiguous. The kind of order that ends careers if you disobey. On his desk sits a photograph. His wife Helen. His daughter Sarah, 8 years old. His son Michael, 5. They are smiling at the camera in front of their house in Dallas. A house he has not seen in 14 months. A family he may never see again if he does what he is about to do. He picks up a pen, starts writing a letter he knows he will never send. My dearest Helen, if you are reading this, I have made a choice that the Navy will call insubordination. I have weighed 79 lives against thousands. I have chosen thousands. Forgive me. Tom. He folds the letter, seals it in an envelope, locks it in his desk drawer with the notebook full of calculations and the photograph of his family. Then he goes to find his senior officers. They meet in the wardroom. Chen, O'Brien, Kowalski, Washington. 4 men who have followed him through depth charge attacks and torpedo failures in nights when they all thought they would die. 4 men who have earned the right to know what he is about to ask of them. Mitchell places the crumpled order on the table. Gentlemen, I am about to violate a direct order from Submarine Operations Command. Anyone who wants off this boat, speak now. I will put you ashore when we return and face the court-martial alone. Silence. The kind of silence that says more than words ever could. Washington speaks first. Sir, my people have been fighting for the right to fight, to prove we belong. I am not running now. O'Brien touches the photograph in his pocket. The ultrasound of his daughter. Mary's last letter said she would name the baby Grace. My kid needs a world without this war, Captain. Let us end it faster. Kowalski stares at his hands that still shake sometimes when he thinks about Wahoo sinking. When he thinks about the 79 men who died while he was drinking beer in a bar in Brisbane. Wahoo did not run. Neither will we. Chen is last. He pulls out Katie's drawing. The submarine with the American flag. His daughter's handwriting saying Daddy's boat in blue crayon. Katie will understand her father did what was right, not what was safe. Tom, if you are going to do this, do it right. And come home so I can explain it to her. Mitchell nods, then looks at each man in turn. We have 4 torpedoes left, 4 more chances to prove this works. Let us make them count. The second kill comes at dawn, June 7th, 1944, 0742 hours. The sun rises over the South China Sea, painting the water golden red. Through the periscope, Mitchell spots a single destroyer conducting a search pattern 3 miles from their position. Hayanami, alone, separated from her formation, searching for the submarine that killed Minatsuki. Perfect. Mitchell calls the crew to battle stations. This time there is no hesitation, no fear, just grim determination and the knowledge that they have done this before and survived. In the torpedo room, O'Brien and his crew execute their rapid reload drill. They have practiced it 100 times. In training, it took them 8 minutes to reload 3 tubes. In combat, yesterday it took 6. Today they do it in 4 minutes flat. A record. O'Brien reports tubes loaded and ready. His voice is steady, professional, but his hands shake slightly as he checks the settings one more time. At sonar, Washington tracks the destroyer. Reports bearing and range in a calm monotone that belies the adrenaline flooding his system. He has learned to separate fear from function, to do his job even when every instinct screams at him to run. In the engine room, Kowalski manually operates the stern planes. The hydraulic system is patched but unreliable. He does it by hand, feeling the submarine respond to his touch like a living thing. 79 ghosts watch him work. He imagines he can hear them whispering, "Not today, not today." Chen stands beside Mitchell at the periscope, watches the destroyer close the distance, 1,500 yards, 1,400, 1,300. The geometry is the same as yesterday, the mathematics unchanged. But knowing something works in theory and betting your life on it in practice are 2 very different things. Mitchell waits, lets Hayanami close to 1,200 yards. The destroyer spots their periscope, turns, accelerates, charges straight at them with murder in her guns. 1,100 yards, 1,000, 900. Fire 1, fire 2, fire 3. The torpedoes leap from their tubes with compressed air blasts that shudder through the hull. 3 Mark 14 Suru racing through the water at 46 knots. 3 chances to prove yesterday was not luck. Dive 400 feet, rig for depth charge, relentless plunges. The depth gauge spins. The crew holds their breath. 17 seconds to impact. 17 seconds that feel like 17 years. The explosion when it comes is different from yesterday. Louder. More violent, 2 hits instead of 1. Hayanami's stern explodes first. The blast tears through her engine room, her fuel tanks, her aft magazine. Then the second torpedo hits amidships. The destroyer breaks in half like a toy snapped by an angry child. She sinks in 4 minutes, faster than Minatsuki. No time for the crew to abandon ship. No time for anything except a brief moment of terror, and then the ocean claiming them forever. Young Tanaka Yuki, 19 years old, clings to a piece of debris. He watches the bow section of his ship slide beneath the waves, watches his friends disappear into the dark water. He thinks of his mother in Kyoto, wonders if she will ever know what happened to him. 6 hours later, hypothermia takes him. He dies quietly alone in an empty ocean, far from home. Inside Relentless, the crew is celebrating. 2 destroyers in 2 days. Proof that the tactic works. Proof that they are not just lucky, but good. But in the torpedo room, O'Brien collapses against a bulkhead. His legs give out. He slides down to the deck and puts his head in his hands and sobs. Chen finds him there 10 minutes later. "Jimmy, talk to me. I killed 300 men. O'Brien's voice breaks. "I'm about to be a father, and I just killed 300 fathers. 300 sons. 300 husbands." Chen sits beside him, says nothing for a long moment, then puts a hand on his shoulder. "You saved 3,000 American fathers, Jimmy. 3,000 sons. 3,000 husbands who will come home because we proved there is another way to fight this war. Never forget that. But the cost weighs heavy, will always weigh heavy. This is the burden of men who fight wars. The knowledge that survival means someone else died. That your children get to grow up because someone else's children will grow up without a father. It is a burden that never gets lighter. You just learn to carry it." That night, Relentless intercepts Japanese naval communications. Washington translates them with help from the code books. The panic in the transmissions is unmistakable. "Unknown American submarine hunting our escorts. 2 destroyers lost in 2 days to same vessel. Fleet-wide alert. Exercise extreme caution." And then a code name. A name that will follow USS Relentless for the rest of her brief life. Akuma, the devil. The Japanese Navy has given them a reputation, has made them into something to fear. Mitchell reads the intercept and feels a cold satisfaction. This is what he wanted, not just to sink ships, but to change the calculus of the war, to make the enemy afraid. But 9,000 miles away in Pearl Harbor, another battle is being fought. A battle that will decide whether Mitchell gets to continue his war or whether he gets court-martialed and sent home in disgrace. Admiral Harrison's office explodes in argument. Captain Wallace has flown in from Brisbane specifically to demand Mitchell's relief of command. He stands in front of Harrison's desk with 2 other officers flanking him. His face is red, his voice loud enough to carry through the closed door. He is ignoring direct orders. Wallace slams his fist on the desk. He is risking his boat and crew on cowboy tactics that are going to get them killed. "I want him pulled off patrol immediately." Harrison holds up 2 patrol reports. In 2 days, Commander Mitchell has sunk 2 Japanese destroyers. Confirmed kills. That is more destroyers than the entire submarine force sank in the previous 2 months. His tactics may be unorthodox, but the results speak for themselves. The results are lucky survival. Wallace's voice rises higher. The down-the-throat shot has a documented 10% success rate. He is 3 for 6 on torpedo hits, which is either blind luck or suicidal overconfidence. Either way, the next time he tries this, they will be scraping Relentless's hull off the ocean floor. The room erupts. Officers take sides. Voices rise. Someone mentions USS Wahoo, which tried aggressive tactics under Commander Dudley Morton and was lost with all in hands in October 1943. Others counter that Morton's loss was due to shallow water operations, not tactical aggression. Captain Richard Vosges, Harrison's operations officer, stands up. His voice cuts through the chaos. "Gentlemen, the question is not whether Mitchell's tactics are risky. Of course they are risky. The question is whether they work. And more importantly, can we afford to keep losing submarines while following conservative doctrine? That is not working." The room quiets. Vosges continues. "In 22 months of war, we have lost 52 submarines following standard procedures. 52 boats, 4,000 men, all doing exactly what the manual told them to do. And they are all dead." He pauses. Lets that sink in. Meanwhile, Mitchell has sunk 2 destroyers in 2 days, using a tactic we have been telling our commanders not to use. Maybe it is time we admit the manual is wrong. Harrison raises his hand for silence. Looks at Wallace. Looks at Vosges. Looks at the map on the wall with 52 red marks representing 52 dead crews. He makes his decision. Mitchell reported discovering the Japanese mobile fleet at Tawi Tawi. Intelligence confirms that is their primary anchorage. If his information is accurate and if he can track their movements, we can intercept them before they reach the Marianas. That intelligence alone is worth 10 submarines. And if he gets himself killed, Wallace demands, then he gets himself killed. Harrison's voice goes ice cold. But I will not order a successful commander to stop doing what works just because it makes us uncomfortable. He stands, walks to the window, looks out at Pearl Harbor where the wreckage of battleships still rusts in the shallow water. A reminder of what happens when you are not ready, when you follow doctrine instead of adapting to reality. Mitchell has sunk more enemy destroyers in 2 days than most boats sink in their entire patrol. Until he fails, I am letting him continue. Wallace's face goes pale. This is madness. This is war, Captain. And in war, we do not get to choose between safe options and dangerous options. We choose between losing slowly with conservative tactics or winning quickly with aggressive ones. Harrison turns from the window, meets Wallace's eyes. I choose winning. He walks to his desk, writes out a message in his own hand, passes it to his radio operator. Send to Relentless. Continue mission. Weapons free. Sink enemy destroyers at your discretion. Good hunting. Harrison, 9,300 miles away. Thomas Mitchell receives that message while stalking his third target. He reads it twice, shows it to Chen. Chen reads it, looks up. Now we really have to make this work. Mitchell nods. Frank, we are about to find out if I am a tactical genius or just the luckiest idiot in the Pacific. June 9th, 1944, 16:45 hours. Destroyer Tanakaze. The third kill is almost routine. Almost, if you can call charging a warship at point-blank range routine. Mitchell lets Tanakaze close to 1,200 yards. Fires 3 torpedoes, 2 hit. The destroyer breaks in half and sinks in 6 minutes. Crew survival rate approximately 0. 3 destroyers in 4 days. The Japanese Navy has never seen anything like it, and they are about to make a decision that will change the entire Pacific campaign. Aboard battleship Yamato anchored in Tawi, Vice Admiral Tanaka Kenji reads the loss reports. 3 destroyers, 4 days. 1 American submarine. He is 50 years old, a veteran of 2 decades of naval service. He has fought in the China War, the Pacific War. He has seen ships burn and men die and victories turn to ash. But he has never seen anything like this. He writes in his personal diary, the entry will be found after the war by American intelligence officers going through captured documents. The American submarine threat has become intolerable. This boat is hunting our escorts specifically, a radical departure from their usual tactics. If they have developed effective anti-destroyer methods, our entire convoy system is at risk. That evening, he calls an emergency staff meeting. His senior officers gather in Yamato's wardroom. The argument lasts 3 hours. Some officers want to hunt Relentless down with the entire fleet. Send every destroyer they have. Find the submarine and kill it no matter the cost. Others advocate withdrawal. Point out that staying in an anchorage that has been discovered is suicide. That Operation Khan, the planned reinforcement of Biak, is already compromised. Tanaka listens to both sides, then makes his decision. Evacuate Tawi within 48 hours. Operation Khan is canceled. The mobile fleet will withdraw to Philippine Sea. The room falls silent. Some officers look relieved. Others look angry. All of them know what this means. 1 American submarine has forced the abandonment of Japan's secret base, has disrupted their entire operational plan, has proven that the era of surface ships ruling the ocean unchallenged is over. But there is 1 more destroyer captain who wants revenge, who wants to restore the honor of the Imperial Navy, who wants to be the man who kills Akuma. His name is Nakamura Sato, Lieutenant Commander, 39 years old, 8 years of destroyer command experience. He has hunted 12 submarines in his career. All 12 are dead. This American boat will be number 13. June 10th, 1944, 0530 hours. Mitchell surfaces for a pre-dawn periscope sweep. What he sees makes his stomach drop. 6 destroyers, in coordinated search formation, spread across 5 miles of ocean. Their sonar pinging constantly, hunting methodically, professionally, hunting for him. And behind them, massive and imposing even at this distance, battleships Yamato and Musashi, moving out of the anchorage, evacuating. Chen looks through the periscope after Mitchell, stares for a long moment, then speaks quietly. They are not just hunting us, they are evacuating. Mitchell nods. One submarine Bob. We scared the entire Japanese Navy out of their secret base, and now they want revenge. The lead destroyer is Kazagumo, Nakamura's ship. She accelerates to 32 knots, forms the tip of a spear designed to find and kill one American submarine. Nakamura stands on his bridge, confident, experienced. He has received specific orders from Admiral Tanaka himself. Locate and destroy the American submarine, terrorizing our forces. The honor of the Imperial Navy depends on eliminating this threat. He is confident because he knows submarine tactics, knows that American boats always run when confronted, knows that this submarine damaged from previous encounters running low on supplies operating alone will follow standard evasion procedures. Dive deep. Go silent. Pray they do not find you. Nakamura has found 11 submarines that tried that tactic. All 11 are dead. His sonar operator calls out a contact. Bearing 035. Range 20,000 meters. Nakamura smiles. The submarine made a mistake. Stayed too shallow. Got careless. All ahead flank. Prepare depth charges. Kazagumo surges forward. Her bow wave rises as she accelerates. Behind her, the other 5 destroyers maintain formation, ready to box in the submarine once Kazagumo forces it down. Inside, Relentless Washington reports the contact. Captain-led destroyer accelerating. 2 more closing from starboard. Mitchell watches through the periscope, sees Kazagumo charging toward him, sees the other destroyers moving into position, sees the trap being laid. Chen's voice is tight. Tom, if we miss this one, there is no escape. 3 destroyers will box us in. We will be depth charged until the hull cracks. Then we do not miss. The attack unfolds like a dance they have practiced 3 times before. A dance with death as the only partner that matters. Range 1,500 yards. Mitchell maneuvers into attack position. Range 1,200 yards. Kazagumo spots the periscope. Turns. Charges. In the torpedo room, O'Brien reports tubes ready. His voice is steady now. Professional. He has learned to separate the act from the consequence, to do his job and deal with the guilt later. In the engine room, Kowalski manually operates the stern planes. The hydraulics are failing completely now. It is all hand control, all muscle and will, and the determination not to die today. At sonar, Washington tracks all 3 destroyers simultaneously, calls out bearings and ranges in a calm voice that does not match the terror in his chest. Range 1,000 yards. Through the periscope, Mitchell sees Nakamura on Kazagumo's bridge, sees sailors preparing depth charges, sees gun crews training their weapons on the periscope. They expect him to dive, expect him to run. They are about to learn that Thomas Mitchell does not run. Range 900 yards. Kazagumo's forward guns open fire. Shells splash into the water around the periscope, getting closer with each salvo. Range 800 yards. Range 700 yards. Fire 1. Fire 2. Fire 3. The torpedoes launch. 3 Mark 14 shells racing through the water. 3 500-pound warheads armed and tracking. Emergency dive. 400 feet, relentless plunges. The crew grabs pipes and rails as the deck tilts at a sharp angle. Aboard Kazagumo, the sonar operator screams a warning. 3 seconds too late. Nakamura sees the torpedo wakes through his binoculars. Has just enough time to realize his mistake. The American was not running, was not diving, was attacking head-on at point-blank range. His last thought is simple. I underestimated a warrior. 2 torpedoes hit Kazagumo's hull. The explosions tear the destroyer in half. Her forward section floods instantly. Her stern rises into the air, propellers still spinning uselessly as she begins to sink. 90 seconds from impact to the ocean floor. 240 sailors lost. But the battle is not over. 5 destroyers remain, and all of them converge on Relentless's last known position with a fury born of fear and shame and the need for vengeance. What happens next will be recorded in naval history as the most intensive depth charge attack of the Pacific War. For 6 hours, 5 Japanese destroyers drop 149 depth charges on USS Relentless. They turn the ocean into a killing zone. They bracket the submarine with patterns designed to crush it, to break it, to kill everyone inside. The explosions are beyond description. Each one feels like being inside a bell that is being struck by a sledgehammer, wielded by God himself. The sound is not just loud, it is physical. It rattles teeth and skulls. It shakes organs and bodies. It makes men pray for deafness just to make it stop. Inside the submarine hell is a small space filled with heat and noise and the smell of fear. The temperature climbs to 110 degrees. Men strip to their underwear and still sweat pours from their bodies. The air tastes like copper and oil and vomit. The oxygen level drops to 35%. Men gasp for breath. Their vision tunnels. Some hallucinate. Some pass out. Some simply sit and stare and wait for the hull to crack and the ocean to rush in and end it. Cork insulation disintegrates into snow that covers every surface. Pipes burst spraying scalding steam. Gauges shatter spraying glass. Light bulbs explode, plunging sections into darkness broken only by crimson emergency lights. In the engine room, Kowalski has a flashback so vivid it feels real. For a moment, he is back on Wahoo, hearing the same sounds, feeling the same terror, watching water pour through cracks in the hull. He screams, incoherent, wordless, a sound of pure animal fear. But then he forces himself back, grabs the manual controls, keeps working. His arms shake with fatigue. His hands are bleeding from gripping the metal. But he does not stop. Not again. Not today. I will not let them die. Not this time. In the torpedo room, O'Brien hallucinates, sees Mary standing in front of him, sees her holding a baby, sees them both smiling, reaches out to touch them, and touches cold metal instead. Chen appears, slaps him hard across the face. Jimmy, stay with us. O'Brien blinks. Mary disappears. He is back in hell, back in the present, back in the place where men die. At the sonar station, Washington tracks the destroyers through explosions that threaten to burst his eardrums. Blood runs from his nose. His hands tremble, but he keeps calling out bearings and ranges in a voice that somehow stays calm. They are moving north, east, north again. He passes out, wakes 30 seconds later, wipes the blood from his face, keeps tracking. In the control room, Mitchell and Chen sit on the deck with their backs against the bulkhead. There is nothing more they can do. No brilliant tactic to save them. No mathematical equation to calculate their way out. All they can do is sit and wait and hope. Chen pulls out Katie's photograph, stares at it like a drowning man stares at the surface. If we die here, she will never know her father. Mitchell does not answer right away, just sits in the heat, in the noise, in the knowledge that death is seconds away at any moment. Then we do not die, Bob. The math does not lie. You always this confident, I am terrified. But I am right. Hour 6, 15 hours. The depth charging suddenly stops. The silence is so complete, so sudden, that for a moment everyone thinks they have finally died. That this is what death sounds like. Silence and red light and the taste of copper. Then someone realizes they can still hear their own heartbeat, still feel the deck beneath them, still smell the acrid stench of fear and sweat and survival. Through the hull destroyer screws, growing fainter, fading into the distance. The Japanese are leaving. Chen stares at Mitchell. Why they had us dead to rights. Mitchell leans his head back against the bulkhead, closes his eyes, smiles for the first time in 6 hours. They are not leaving us, Bob. They are fleeing from us. When relentless surfaces at dusk, the crew can barely move. Oxygen restored. Fresh air rushing through the hatches like a drug. Some men vomit, others cry. All of them simply stand and breathe and feel the sun on their faces and thank God or fate or luck or mathematics that they are still alive. Washington monitors Japanese naval frequencies. What he hears makes him call Mitchell to the radio room immediately. An intercepted message, translated from Japanese. All units, evacuate Tawi Tawi immediately. Mobile fleet withdrawing to Philippine Sea. Operation Khan canceled. American submarine threat assessment. Critical. Mitchell and Chen read the message. Read it again. Look at each other. One submarine, Mitchell says quietly, we just evacuated their entire fleet. Chen nods. Tom, what have we done? We changed the war, Bob. And they have. In 4 days, USS Relentless has sunk 4 Japanese destroyers, has discovered the enemy's secret fleet anchorage, has forced the abandonment of that anchorage, has disrupted Japan's entire operational plan for the Pacific. One submarine, 79 men, 4 days that will echo through the rest of the war. But they have also painted a target on themselves. The Japanese know they are here now, know what they are capable of, know they are dangerous, Akuma, the devil, and the hunt is only beginning. June 21st, 1944, Darwin, Australia, the harbor at dawn, USS Relentless limps into port like a boxer who won the fight but paid for every punch. Her hull is cracked in 6 places. She lists 5 degrees to starboard. Oil leaks from her damaged tanks, leaving a dark trail across the water. The hydraulic system is held together with patch welds and prayers. Her oxygen tanks are empty, her food stores depleted. She is barely afloat. But draped across her conning tower, snapping in the morning breeze, are 4 Japanese battle flags. One for each destroyer she killed. One for each impossible victory. The dock is packed. Submariners from USS Dace, USS Hake, USS Hado. Men who face death every time they cast off lines. Men who know what odds Relentless has beaten. Men who understand what 4 destroyers in 4 days means. They are waiting. Mitchell is first off the boat. He steps onto the dock on legs that barely hold him. He has not slept in 72 hours. Has not eaten a full meal in 5 days. His uniform is stained with sweat and oil. His hands quiver from exhaustion. A chief petty officer approaches. Mike Sullivan from USS Dace, 40 years old, Boston accent, eyes red from something more than sleepless nights. "Sir," Sullivan's voice cracks, "my boat lost 3 men last month to a destroyer attack. We followed standard doctrine. We ran like we were supposed to, did everything by the book." He pauses, swallows hard. "They still killed us, found us anyway. Depth charged us until Johnson and Martinez and O'Malley were dead, and the rest of us were half deaf and praying to God we would not be next." He extends his hand. Mitchell takes it. "What you did out there," Sullivan continues, "you proved there is another way. Some of us might make it home now because of what you figured out." Behind him, dozens of submariners start clapping. The sound echoes across the water, across the dock, across the morning air that smells like salt and diesel and survival. Mitchell stands there, stunned. These men who know what war really costs are thanking him, honoring him, recognizing something he is not sure he deserves. Because yes, he sank 4 destroyers, but he also killed 960 Japanese sailors. Young men with families, with mothers waiting for letters that will never come, with children who will grow up asking where their father went. The mathematics of war are clean. The morality never is. Behind Mitchell, his crew disembarks. And waiting for them on the dock are telegrams, letters, messages that have been held until their return. O'Brien is handed an envelope. His hands shake as he opens it, reads 3 lines, then collapses to his knees on the wooden planking. Chen rushes over. "Jimmy, what is it?" O'Brien looks up, tears streaming down his face, a smile breaking across his exhausted features. "Baby girl born June 19th, mother and daughter healthy, named her Grace, waiting for you, Mary." He reads it again, and again, like the words might disappear if he does not memorize them immediately. "I am a father," he whispers. "I am actually a father." Chen helps him to his feet, grips his shoulder. "Grace O'Brien. That is a good name. The best name," O'Brien says. He folds the telegram carefully, puts it in his pocket next to the photograph of Mary, next to the rosary he clutched through 6 hours of depth charging, next to all the small talismans that kept him human through 4 days of killing. Washington receives visitors instead of letters. 3 black sailors from other boats. Men he has never met but who know his name, know his story, know what it means that he served with distinction on a boat full of white men from Texas and Oklahoma, in places where people like him are not always welcome. "You showed them we belong here," one says. Washington shakes his head. "We always belonged. I just proved it louder." They talk for 20 minutes. About families back home, about the war, about what comes after, about the world they are fighting to create. A world where maybe, just maybe, a man will be judged by his competence and his courage instead of his skin. It is a fragile hope, but hope nonetheless. Kowalski walks alone to the base memorial, a stone wall with names engraved. USS Wahoo. 79 men lost October 11th, 1943. He runs his fingers over the letters, over names he knew. Friends who died while he was drinking beer in a bar in Brisbane. Petty Officer James Chen. Torpedo Man Second Class Michael Rodriguez. Seaman David Williams. On and on. 79 names, 79 ghosts. I lived for you, Kowalski whispers. I fought for you. I proved that aggressive tactics can work if you are smart about it. If you calculate and plan and execute instead of just charging in blind. He pauses, touches the stone. Rest easy, brothers. Your deaths were not meaningless. They taught us what not to do, and now we are learning what to do instead. It is a small comfort, but it is something. Chen receives a letter from his wife, Lynn. Inside is a drawing, Katie's latest artwork, a submarine with an American flag and 4 stars above it. The words Daddy's Boat written in careful blue crayon. Below it in Lynn's handwriting a note. She understands you are doing something important. Come home safe so you can tell her about it yourself. Chen folds the letter, puts it in his pocket, looks out at the harbor where Relentless sits damaged but victorious. Tom, he says to Mitchell, who has walked up beside him. She understands. You were right. About what? About doing what is right instead of what is safe. June 22nd, 1944. Naval Intelligence Headquarters. Darwin. Admiral William Harrison has flown in from Pearl Harbor specifically for this meeting. He stands before a room packed with submarine commanders from every boat in the Southwest Pacific. On the wall behind him, statistics that will change naval warfare forever. Before USS Relentless's 5th Patrol, Harrison's voice carries weight and authority. U.S. submarines versus Japanese destroyers. Success rate 12%. Average attack range 4,200 yards. Destroyer kills per patrol 0.18. He pauses, lets the number sink in. After USS Relentless's 5th Patrol, down-the-throat tactic when executed properly. Success rate 67%. Optimal attack range 900 to 1,200 yards. Relentless's kill rate 4 destroyers in 4 days. Another pause. Longer this time. Gentlemen, as of today, the down-the-throat shot is no longer forbidden. It is doctrine. The room erupts. Some officers cheer, others look skeptical. All of them understand what this means. The rules have changed. The words change. One man proved that courage in mathematics can overcome conventional wisdom. Every submarine in the Pacific will receive new tactical guidance based on Commander Mitchell's methods. Harrison continues. We will train crews on rapid-fire procedures, on attack geometry, on the calculations that turn a suicidal tactic into a viable one. He looks directly at Mitchell. USS Relentless has rewritten how we fight this war. Captain Wallace stands, the man who ordered Mitchell to withdraw, who wanted him court-martialed. His face is uncomfortable, his voice quiet. Commander Mitchell, I recommended your court-martial for violating my orders. The room goes silent. I was wrong. Wallace meets Mitchell's eyes. Your violation of orders saved more lives than my orders ever would have. The Navy owes you an apology. I owe you an apology. Mitchell stands, nods once. Sir, you were protecting your men. I was protecting mine. We both did our duty as we understood it. The respect in the room is palpable. 2 men who disagreed, both acting from conviction, both willing to admit when reality proved one right and the other wrong. Harrison clears his throat. One more thing, Tom. I am recommending you for the Medal of Honor. Mitchell's face goes pale. Sir, I do not deserve that. You sank 4 destroyers, changed doctrine, won a battle the Japanese did not even know they had lost until it was over. Harrison's voice softens. If that is not Medal of Honor worthy, nothing is. Later in private, Harrison pulls Mitchell aside. Relentless needs 3 months of repair, Tom. Major work, hull welding, hydraulic replacement, system overhauls. I am ordering you stateside. You have done enough. Go home to Helen and the kids. Mitchell stares out the window at the harbor. At his submarine sitting low in the water, at the crew he has led through hell and brought back alive. Sir, the war is not over, and you have already changed how we will win it. Harrison's voice is firm. That is enough. Go home, be with your family, train the next generation of submarine commanders. Your war is done. Mitchell turns, meets Harrison's eyes. One more patrol, sir. Let me prove this was not a fluke. Let me make sure the doctrine sticks. Then I will go home. Harrison stares at him for a long moment, knows he cannot change Mitchell's mind, knows that some men are driven by something deeper than orders or common sense, or the desire for survival. One more, Tom. Then you come home. That is an order. Mitchell nods. One more. He does not know that he has just sentenced himself to death, that the mathematics that saved him 4 times will fail him on the 5th, that there are some equations even he cannot solve. July and August 1944. Repairs in Fremantle, training exercises, preparation for the 6th Patrol. Some crew members are rotated stateside. O'Brien among them. Orders came through. New father, compassionate reassignment. He will train torpedo crews in San Diego instead of hunting destroyers in the Pacific. He comes to say goodbye to Mitchell, stands in the captain's cabin with tears in his eyes. Captain, you gave me a world to bring my daughter into. A world where maybe this war ends a little faster because we proved submarines can fight back. Mitchell grips his hand. Go home, Jimmy. Raise Grace. Tell her stories about her father who was brave when it mattered. Washington is also rotated off after the 5th Patrol. Promoted to Chief Sonar Operator, he is assigned to USS Dace, where he will teach new crews the tactics he learned from Mitchell. A position of responsibility. A recognition of competence that has nothing to do with race and everything to do with the fact that he is simply the best at what he does. He comes to say goodbye. Sir, I will teach them what you taught me. That fear is just information. That courage is doing the job anyway. Mitchell nods. Make us proud, Marcus. I already did, sir. We all did. But Chen and Kowalski stay. Refuse rotation despite being eligible. Chen because he started this with Mitchell and will finish it with him. Kowalski because he still has ghosts to settle with and debts to pay to the 79 men who died on Oahu. August 1944. The 6th Patrol, USS Relentless, operates in a wolf pack with USS Hake and USS Hado. Mitchell has tactical command. His methods have been adopted fleet-wide. Now he gets to see if they work for others as well as they worked for him. The first week is successful. 2 cargo ships sunk, 1 tanker, 7 Japanese vessels total across the 3 submarines. The tactics work. The training works. The doctrine works. The crew's confidence is high. Too high, perhaps. When you have beaten death 4 times, you start to believe you are immortal. Start to think the odds no longer apply to you. Kowalski warns against it. Wahoo thought we were untouchable too, he says, right up until we were not. But confidence is a drug, and they have been using it for too long. August 24th, 1944, 0730 hours. Waters off Luzon, Philippines. Mitchell receives orders to investigate convoy movements in Daeseul Bay. Intelligence suggests Japanese supply ships running at night. His job is to find them, sink them, continue the pressure that is slowly strangling Japan's ability to wage war. The new sonar operator, Davis, a young man from Philadelphia who replaced Washington, calls out multiple contacts. But something in his voice is uncertain. Captain, I am reading multiple contacts, but the signature is off. Does not match typical convoy pattern. What do you mean off? Different engine noise. Different screw count. Just different. Mitchell studies the sonar readout. Chen stands beside him. Both men have learned to trust their instincts. And both men feel something is wrong, but orders are orders, and they have survived worse. Take us in, Mitchell says, slow and quiet. What they do not know, what they cannot know. Japanese minesweeper CD-22 is patrolling these exact waters, specifically hunting American submarines, using new tactics learned from studying Relentless's attacks. They have adapted, they have learned. They are ready. 0822 hours. CD-22's sonar bar detects Relentless at 300 feet depth. The Japanese commander recognizes the signature, has been briefed on this specific submarine, knows its reputation, knows its capabilities, knows that this is Akuma, the devil, the boat that killed 4 destroyers and humiliated the Imperial Navy. Revenge for Minatsuki, for Heiyanami, for Tanikaze, for Kazugumo. He gives orders. 18 depth charges, dropped simultaneously in a pattern designed with mathematical precision, a pattern based on analysis of how Relentless evades, where it goes when attacked, how it moves. They learn from their defeats, and now they are ready to win. The depth charges fall. Inside Relentless, the first explosions hit like the hand of God, worse than anything they experienced before. More precise, more deadly, more inevitable. The hull breaches in multiple locations, not catastrophic yet, but getting there. Water floods the forward compartment. Men scream. The submarine lurches. Mitchell shouts orders. Emergency blow. Surface, get us up, but the hydraulics, patched and repaired and barely functional, finally fail completely. The ballast tanks will not blow. The submarine cannot rise. They are trapped, 300 feet down, taking on water, with a Japanese ship above them that knows exactly where they are. Chen grabs the intercom. All hands prepare to abandon ship, but there will be no abandoning ship. Not at this depth, not with the hull already failing. The second wave of depth charges falls. Perfect placement, perfect timing. The kind of attack that only comes from experience and analysis and cold mathematical precision. The hull cracks. Water pours in faster. The lights fail. Emergency lighting casts everything in red. In the engine room, Kowalski sees water rising, sees the hull buckling, sees the faces of 79 ghosts from Wahoo waiting for him. "I am coming, brothers," he whispers. "Save me a place." In the torpedo room, the replacement crew struggles to seal the forward hatch. Water is waist deep, rising fast. One young sailor, 19 years old, pulls out a letter to his mother, clutches it to his chest, prays she will somehow know he was thinking of her at the end. In the control room, Chen pulls out Katie's drawing, the submarine with the American flag, her careful blue crayon letters saying Daddy's boat. "I am sorry, sweetheart. Daddy will not make it to your birthday." Mitchell grabs the failing intercom one last time, his voice calm even now, even at the end. "All hands, it has been an honor to serve with you." He thinks of Helen, of Sarah, of Michael, of the family waiting for him in Dallas, of the letter he wrote and never sent, of all the things he wanted to say and never got the chance. His last thought is a question. Did we change enough? Did it matter? 0822, 45 seconds. The hull pressure exceeds all limits. At 1,040 meters depth, USS Relentless implodes. The sound is brief, final, absolute. 79 men die instantly, crushed by pressure, drowned by seawater, gone in a fraction of a second between life and nothing. There are no survivors, no escape, no dramatic rescue, just silence and darkness in the ocean closing over them forever. On the surface, CD-22's crew watches oil rise. Debris surfaces, life vests, papers, personal effects. The physical remnants of 79 lives ended. The Japanese commander does not celebrate, does not cheer, just whispers quietly. They were brave, all of them, because even enemies can recognize courage when they see it. October 2nd, 1944, Pearl Harbor. USS Relentless officially declared missing. Admiral Harrison reads the report, closes his eyes, puts his head in his hands. "Damn it, Tom, I told you to come home." January 2nd, 1945. USS Relentless officially presumed lost with all hands. 79 names added to the submarine memorial. 79 families receiving telegrams that start with the words, "The Secretary of the Navy regrets to inform you." In Dallas, Texas, a Navy chaplain knocks on a door. Helen Mitchell answers. She knows before he speaks. Knows from his face. Knows from the envelope in his hand. She does not scream. Does not collapse. Just stands very still and asks the question she already knows the answer to. "Is he coming home?" "No, ma'am, I'm very sorry." Sarah, 8 years old, appears behind her mother, asks in a small voice, "Is Daddy coming home?" Helen kneels, hugs her daughter, tries to find words that will make sense of senseless loss. "Daddy is a hero, baby. He did something very important." Something that will help a lot of other daddies come home. But he is not coming home. No, sweetheart, Daddy is not coming home. Later, after the chaplain leaves, Helen finds the sealed envelope in Tom's desk, opens it with shaking hands, reads the letter he wrote the night he decided to disobey orders. My darling Helen, if you are reading this, I did not make it. But know that every calculation, every risk, every moment was to build a world where Sarah and Michael can grow up without this war. I love you forever. Tom. She folds the letter carefully, puts it in a box with his medals and his photographs and all the physical remnants of a life cut short, sits on their bed and allows herself to cry. Just once, just for a moment, because she has two children who need her to be strong. November 15th, 1945, the White House, Washington, D.C. President Harry Truman presents the Medal of Honor to Helen Mitchell. Sarah and Michael stand beside their mother, holding her hands, trying to understand why a room full of important people are giving their dead father a medal. The citation is read aloud. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life, above and beyond the call of duty, attacking Japanese destroyers with a daring that bordered on the reckless. His superb leadership and indomitable courage were an inspiration to all submarine forces. Truman hands the medal to Helen, speaks quietly so only she can hear. Mrs. Mitchell, your husband changed the course of the war. Thousands of men came home because of what he proved was possible. Helen nods, cannot speak, just holds the medal and thinks about a man who died doing what he thought was right. But the real legacy is not the medal, not the ceremony, not the words spoken by presidents and admirals. The real legacy is in the statistics. By war's end, Commander Mitchell personally sank 4 destroyers in 4 days. Using his tactics, American submarines went on to sink 52 more Japanese destroyers, the same number as the submarines lost before Mitchell proved there was another way. A symmetry that feels like justice. American submariners who returned home using Mitchell's methods. Estimated 3,000. 3,000 fathers and sons and husbands who lived because one man was willing to risk everything to prove conventional wisdom wrong. Lives saved by disruption of Japanese supply lines caused by aggressive submarine tactics. Incalculable. But measured in the battles won and the invasions successful, and the war ended months or years sooner than it might have been. June 19th, 1944, the Battle of the Philippine Sea. Because the Japanese fleet was forced to evacuate Tawi-Tawi, because they had to operate in waters where American submarines could track them, because USS Relentless discovered their anchorage and forced them into the open. American carrier aircraft slaughtered Japanese planes in what pilots would later call the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. 300 Japanese aircraft destroyed, 3 carriers sunk. The decisive naval victory of the Pacific War. It happens because one submarine spent 4 days hunting destroyers instead of running from them. In 1954, the United States Navy commissions a destroyer escort, USS Thomas Mitchell, DE-43. She serves until 1973, pioneering anti-submarine technologies. A fitting tribute, a destroyer named for the man who taught submarines how to kill destroyers. At the Naval Submarine School in Groton, Connecticut, a plaque is mounted on the wall. Submarine commanders still read it, still learn from it, still understand what it means. Commander Thomas Mitchell, destroyer killer. He taught us that submarines do not have to hide from surface ships. Sometimes they should hunt them. Below the plaque, his words, if the doctrine is killing us, someone has to write a new one. He wrote it in torpedo trails and sinking destroyers. He wrote it in tactical reports that rewrote naval warfare. He wrote it in the survival of countless submariners who came home using tactics he proved worked. 2024, 80 years after her loss. The Lost 52 project discovers USS Relentless's wreck, 3,000 feet depth off the coast of Luzon, Philippines. The submarine lies intact, remarkably preserved in the cold, dark water that has been her tomb for 8 decades. The dive team sends down remote cameras. What they see takes their breath away. The bow is still pointed forward, still in attack position, as if frozen in the moment of her final charge. 4 battle flags are still visible on sonar imaging, draped across her conning tower like badges of honor. 79 men are still at their stations down there, still serving, still on eternal patrol. The wreck is declared a war grave, protected by international law. No one will disturb them, no one will bring them home. They will rest there forever in the dark, in the silence and the cold. But they are not forgotten. A memorial service is held. Families attend, grandchildren and great-grandchildren of the men who died. They throw flowers into the water above the wreck, say prayers for men they never knew but whose sacrifice gave them the world they inherited. The dive team leader speaks to the press afterward. His voice is respectful, awed. She went down fighting. You can see it in how she rests. Bow forward, like she is still charging into battle, still refusing to run, still doing what her captain taught her crew to do. Hunt the hunters. At the Naval Academy, modern submarine warfare instructors teach Mitchell's tactics. Show his calculations. Explain his reasoning. Tell the story of 4 days that changed everything. A student raises his hand, asks the question every generation asks. Why did he violate orders, sir? The instructor considers his answer carefully. Because sometimes the most dangerous phrase in military history is "that is impossible." Commander Mitchell proved that the only difference between impossible and inevitable is one person willing to prove everyone wrong. Another pause. 52 boats followed doctrine and did not come home. Mitchell wrote a new doctrine, and thousands came home after him. That is the lesson. Not just about tactics or mathematics or torpedo geometry. The lesson is about courage, about questioning systems that do not work, about being willing to risk everything to prove there is a better way. The lesson is that sometimes one person armed with conviction and competence and a willingness to calculate the uncalculable can change the world. Somewhere in the dark waters off Luzon at 3,000 feet depth, USS Relentless sits upright, her bow still aimed forward, her battle flag still flying in the eternal current, her crew still at their stations, forever ready, forever remembered. Forever an example of what happens when American courage meets American ingenuity, meets American determination to never accept defeat. Thomas Mitchell was 37 years old when he died. He never saw his Medal of Honor, never held his grandchildren, never knew that his tactics would save thousands of lives. But he knew in those final seconds before the hull failed that he had tried, that he had calculated and risked and proven what needed proving, that he had changed something fundamental about how his country fought its wars. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. The mathematics of death are brutal. 79 men for 4 destroyers. 79 families shattered for one tactical innovation. But the mathematics of legacy are kinder. 79 men who changed how 3,000 others survived, who forced an empire to flee its secret base, who proved that courage and intelligence can overcome any odds. In the end, Thomas Mitchell did not just hunt destroyers. He hunted the impossible, and he killed it. 4 times he charged when wisdom said to run. 4 times he calculated when fear said to dive. 4 times he proved that mathematics and courage are stronger than conventional wisdom and fear. The 5th time the ocean took him. But what he built, what he proved, what he changed lives on. In every submarine commander who refuses to accept that something cannot be done. In every crew that trains on tactics he pioneered. In every family that welcomes home a submariner who survived because Thomas Mitchell was willing to die, proving there was a better way. That is the legacy, not the medal, not the ship named in his honor, not even the statistics of lives saved. The legacy is the simple truth that one person in the right moment with the right conviction can change everything. And in San Francisco in 1964, Robert Chen sits at the kitchen table with his daughter Katie on her 18th birthday. She is grown now, beautiful, smart, about to leave for college. He pulls out an old drawing, faded blue crayon, a submarine with an American flag, the words "Daddy's boat" in a child's handwriting. "Do you remember making this?" he asks. She looks at it, smiles. "I was so little. You were 3. He smooths the paper. "I want to tell you about the bravest man I ever knew, the man who came home so I could watch you grow up." And he tells her about Thomas Mitchell, about 4 days that changed the war, about mathematics and courage and the price of doing what is right instead of what is safe. When he finishes, Katie is crying. "What happened to him?" she asks. "He died doing what he believed in. But because of him, 3,000 fathers came home, including yours." She touches the drawing, looks at her father. "I'm going to name my first son Thomas." Chen smiles, takes her hand. He would have liked that. And when Katie Chen's son Thomas is born in 1968, she tells him the story, just as her father told her. Just as the story will be told for generations. The story of the submarine that hunted destroyers. The story of a man who proved that impossible is just another word for not yet tried. USS Relentless, SS-257. Hit them harder. Lost August 24th, 1944. 79 souls on eternal patrol. They did not just fight a war. They changed how we fight. They did not just follow orders. They questioned orders that were killing them. And in doing so, they saved thousands of lives they would never meet. That is the American spirit. Not blind obedience, but bold leadership. Not accepting failure, but demanding better. Not just surviving, but ensuring others survive after you. And that spirit rests now in the dark waters off Luzon, 3,000 feet down. Bow pointed forward, forever ready for the attack that never came. Forever an inspiration to all who serve, all who sacrifice, all who understand that sometimes the mathematics of courage are the only mathematics that matter. Rest easy, warriors. Your war is over, but what you won, what you proved, what you changed will echo through history forever. Well done.